Okay, this is Michael Cuscuna, and we're talking with Marc Bolan, the leader in one half of Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T.rex if you prefer. And one of the main things we'll be talking about is Electric Warrior, which is Marc's new album, or T.rex's new album. And I was talking to Marc before and said that of all his albums, this is kind of unique. It's the happiest and the most infectious of all the albums. And also the lyrics seem to be sort of more basic in a way. I'm not sure if that's the right word for it, but different than the rest.
Yeah, it's strange for me because I'm much more interested in communicating directly to people now, and I don't feel there's that much time to jive about anymore. Whereas I was never aware of it. America did that to me. And the last tour coming here, I realized the urgency to do whatever you're going to do now. You know, if it's possible, you know, and this album we did because basically we wanted to play, and we just went into the studio and played, and got down what we wanted, really. But there's very, you know, the years slip by, you know, it's very strange, and the planet changes, you know.
Did you feel that a lot of the imagery and mythological references that you used in a lot of other songs were just going by people?
Not in England, but in America. I mean, England's a very different country. You know, we've been talking about this. We've had, you know, we're sort of super big in England. We sold 5 million records and stuff there, and it doesn't mean too much here, only because the people don't really know what to come for T.rex. You know, they don't really know what I'm about, and they don't know. Why should they? For God's sake, you know. And that album for me is about just explaining to America really that we're worth listening to. I mean, if people don't like it, fine, don't listen, you know, but I'd like them to give us a listen, because I'd like to have them on my side, actually, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of things I want to do, like movies and other recording things, and playing here, and I really like playing here. And to do it, I mean, I'd like to do, the ideal situation is in 3 or 4 years' time, which most people that I know in the business would like to do, is like to do a couple of concerts for bread and then do a free one, a couple of concerts for bread and then do a free, you know. But the running of a group is so expensive, you know, that people have to realize you have to do that. So what I'm doing now is trying to do things, like this album's going to have a free poster in it for a start, a 30 by 40 poster. It's got lots of, the inner bag has special pictures and stuff, and it's bits of badges and things. Just jive things which are nice to do. And I think people should do, you know, like in England we would do 3 tracks on a single. Right. Because if someone's going to do it, man, you might as well, you can get 3 tracks on. People before was, oh man, you can't get it on for level and stuff, which is jive, you know. You can do it. And we have bags on the albums, on the singles in England.
Yeah. The new Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T.rex, is it's not just you and a second person anymore now, it's a larger band, isn't it?
Well, yeah, what I've done is just get people, I hear more in my head, you know, and I just, there's 4 of us now on stage. You know, I write a song and I just needed more people than Mickey to get across a sound that was going to allow me to do in 3 or 4 years what I want to do in 3 or 4 years. You know, this is a problem. We have so little time now, and I come this time I've only been here 3 days, and we start a 3-month tour of like the world when we get back, you know. And I'd like to spend more time here, but to get the sound on stage what I want to do and I'd like to spend more time here, but to get the sound on stage what I want to do to establish all round what I want. I'm going to write them, and I've got 3 science fiction books coming out in England in about 3 weeks. Sure. A book of poetry. I'm doing some music for a Fellini film. I've been asked to direct a film that I wrote. And there's also this other stuff. But to me, until the only country left in the world is America first, you know. And it's like, I'd like to get it over with, find out if people either want us or don't here. So, you know, really, so I can decide what I'm going to do. Because I'm a rocker, man. Music's my initial inspiration.
Well, you've gotten to enough of a degree. I mean, you have 4 albums out here, and, well, you will have 4 albums when Electric Warrior's out, and attracted enough attention and enough radio time and enough personal appearances where it certainly do have a strong following here, even if it's not, you know, big business type numbers.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people that have got our records here are really good people. I have some amazing letters and stuff, you know. But it's very hard. It's just that perhaps we're spoilt in England because, and we did for 3 years, we were just like a so-called underground group, and we had big albums, but we weren't really getting through to any media. We never played in the radio, we were never on any sort of TV things, we were never in the papers. And then suddenly, at the beginning of last year, it just exploded into like a science fiction thing, yeah. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well do it like that, you know. It just means I can get more things across to the kids, hopefully for less bread, and I can do we do free things in England, you know. I stick in. The tours we do, I promote in England, and we keep them down to, it's only $1 to go in. I take the loss on that, because I can work it out on the records, you know.
Right.
And I don't want to rip anyone off, whereas over here I can't demand things like that of promoters, because they just tell me to screw off, you know, whereas if I can get that together, I can establish something here like that, which is what I'm more into.
Reach that plateau of power so that you can use it right.
Well, yeah, just reverse it back on the barracks, you know, just work that out.
Yeah.
And it can be done, and, you know, and you don't have to say that you're working for nothing and stuff. I mean, you know, we live all right, you know, we live well enough, but you don't have to rip people off either, which a lot of promoters are in.
How do things like Ride a White Swan and Bang a Gong Get It On were hit singles in England? If there's not even any top 40 radio,
well,
how does a single become a hit?
Well, White Swan happened. White Swan made the top 20 just on people, on word of mouth, and then they had to play it. They were obligated, and they wanted to, because I just had to prove to them that people wanted to hear it. So we got enough interest to do that, and then it just, once they played it, it just broke wide open, the whole thing.
Did you ever get with any other musicians who were heavily into science fiction? The one person I'm thinking of is Paul Kantner, who is very, very much into science fiction. In fact.
I met him briefly, but I don't know.
Yeah.
In England, the nice thing about England is it's so small, is that everyone who's got a heavy head, one knows really well. I mean, you know, I was just talking with one of the guys from Warner's Russ, and I say, you know, I used to play with Cat Stevens a lot when he first started. And we were both like folk singers, for want of a better. There was nowhere else to go, you know. So we used to play acoustic guitars, and but the people that you know, it's all within 5 miles. And you can get to meet anyone, and you can play with them. They'll go on your records gladly. I mean, people love to play, you know. If you get to get Eric Clapton or someone, or Elton John on a record, it's the easiest thing in the world, you know. One knows the people anyway, but I mean, they want to do it, and it's not a number, you know, it's the record companies that make it a number normally.
Yeah, all the legalities of contracts and all that.
But meanwhile, I mean, I'll play with anyone, because that's music, right? That's what you do it for.
Right.
The only person that I have an affinity word-wise, I think, is probably Bernie Taupin. He's very into science fiction things.
Is he?
Very. Yeah, he is, he's very into that. And children's books he's into, too.
You mentioned that you have 2 science fiction novels coming out.
Yeah.
Will they be published in America too, or?
Yeah. See, what I'm doing now is in a way trying to arrange it so that we can approach people, so that they'll publish them. I had a book of poetry done last year, which was the biggest selling poetry book in England, you know, and it never got in the shops. It was done through mail order. We did it ourselves.
Do you differentiate between poetry and song lyrics?
For me, yeah, because when I'm writing a song, it's the strength of the melody. You know, within a melody is so much power, and the world was created, you know, with Om, and that was the heaviest boogie that was ever laid down, you know, and that's there. So I play a couple of chords, and I get such a high from that, and I just draw the words out of my head that make relevant pictures, really. But poetry is like, for me, a word turn on, you know, like structuring the words and putting emotion through without music.
But it's also melodic, maybe in a different sense. But
sure, yeah.
It's a very melodic form.
Yeah, but you can have, like, with a song, you have the strength of a beat and the chords to carry it. With words, it's much more sort of, you know, it depends how it's done, how it's presented.
You're going to score a film for Fellini?
Well, it's like in the air, yeah, we spoke about it. Right. I love his movies, I think they're visually really good.
Would it be a sort of Satyricon type of film? Or
depends where he's at the time, really, I think.
Because
he just showed an interest in the sounds, you know.
Yeah. Because the sort of the imagery and the whole setting of Satyricon seemed to be very much related to a lot of your music.
Exactly. You know, when I saw it, for me, it was just like seeing one of my songs put on a film, really. So, yeah, I mean, it'll work out fine, I'm sure. I mean,
You keep, I don't know if it's because that's where you live and work, or if you do differentiate, but you keep talking about English musicians. Do you find American musicians, well, rock musicians, to be very much hung up in their own star complex? Or?
I haven't really met enough to say, man, honestly. The people that I meet are really nice. But I really haven't met too many.
Yeah.
I'm going to see Randy Newman next week, which should be nice.
Well,
he's a good man.
Unbelievable.
Right, so I'll see him and think, how nice, you know. But I don't know. I mean, you would know more than me, the jivers are. I mean, everywhere's got them, right,
well,
you know. I mean, the biggest shock to me was when when Tom Jones was big here. And like those sort of people, you know, because I thought, wow, they want, you know.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other realm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but they're good people in their own way.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. But it's, that's something else.
Yeah, really. When you, is it very much different when you play? I don't know what kind of circumstances you play under in England, but in America, essentially, you've played like...
We've had no choice in America, to be quite honest.
You played sort of second act to more famous people, haven't you? And usually played in you know, fairly good-sized concert halls.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of circumstances you work in England?
Yeah, but we can, you know, we're in a nice position now where we can fill any hall in England probably 3 times over. So we can afford to, and we draw our own audience. I mean, if we go very young, it goes from like 14 to 30, you know, it's like we've
Really?
covered the whole, sure. We get screamers and all that whole thing, but they're not headless people. You know, they're inquiring young kids.
Okay, this is Michael Cuscuna, and we're talking with Marc Bolan, the leader in one half of Tyrannosaurus Rex, or T.rex if you prefer. And one of the main things we'll be talking about is Electric Warrior, which is Marc's new album, or T.rex's new album. The one really unique song on it, on the album, is a thing called Rip Off.
I wrote that for America, actually. I wrote that in Los Angeles, yeah.
I didn't quite get a lot of the images, but
like what? I mean, because for me it's very straightforward. What in particular?
Let me run this down here. Well, actually, you know, what is your definition of rip off, first of all?
Basically, just someone laying down a jive number, really. But I think it can be a twofold thing, because I think it'll be a rip-off and really funny, a really nice, you know, because it's almost like a joke, but it could also be very knife-edged, you know, which is what I feel about a lot of in England at one point with the concerts and certain bad record companies coming across the good ones, who are obviously good, but the bad, you know, people get misused. I've seen so many people misused, and that to me is a rip-off.
Yeah.
Who come out 3 years later after amazing success, penniless, and I know so many people that if I told you their names, which would be unfair to, who over in America people think are huge superstars who are practically on the street even though they got Ferrari cars. You'd be surprised, man, how many.
Yeah, more of that information comes to the surface nowadays.
Right.
Too. Now, there's a stanza like "Dancing in the Dark with the Tramps in the Park." It's a rip-off, such a rip-off. Are you referring to sort of the middle-class kids who try and relate in a classless way?
Not at all, no. It's just a rip-off that the Tramps should have to sleep in the park, I think.
Oh,
really.
I see. Oh, I see.
Yeah, but you take it, and for you it might mean something totally. I mean, I just, I lived for a while with some gypsies in England for about a year at one point. I had a gypsy caravan. And their way of life is amazing, man. To live out in England, which is not like living out in America, because you don't really get hassled by police that much. And to just park in the middle of a field and eat your food and just sleep beneath the stars. But with people that have great knowledge, like 6,000 years of knowledge, is amazing. Because they have very sort of human magic. And they're also amazing sort of, I mean, they're hobos in America, but we call them tramps in England. Amazing people that just walk about, that are gods, man. They are gods. I don't really particularly believe they come from this planet, because some of them, I mean, there's also, you have whiners and bummers, you know. But I know 2 or 3 people that are strong human beings that have totally rejected the city environment, but have more knowledge than I could even hope to contain within me, you know.
Have
There's one look, man, they can melt steel, those people, you know.
Have you gotten to talk to Moondog when you were here?
I saw him. I tried to find him just yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
And he's a similar sort of man, very similar sort of man, yeah.
Right. On the new album, which has a kind of a strange cover photo.
That's a jive cover, very much jive.
Of you with an electric guitar and 2 amps stacked behind you. The electric thing, which was kind of a surprise. I guess Beard of Stars was the first album that had it.
Yeah,
and
that was very much a teething album for that, you know.
Yes, it sounded like it, really.
Yeah, it was, very much. And I do feel it's the least important album that we did. But at the time, the most important, because it was a very strong step to doing what we're doing now. It was like, piece of space and time that just had to be done when I was just getting back into using electric guitar. So I started playing electrically initially. And Mickey just joined the band and was very he was not a musician. He was just, he played tablas with some people, but he was a painter, basically. But we just worked with the head thing, and it took... There's some good... Magical Moon, I dig, and there's some good songs on that album, but it was... I mean, I think Electric Warrior, for me, is the first album which is a statement of 1971 for us in England.
Really.
I mean, that's... If anyone ever wanted to know why we were big in the other part of the world, that album says it for me.
Yeah, sure.
And it's the first album I've ever felt said that.
Yeah, it seemed that, listening to this album, it seemed that it was the first time that you took America into perspective.
Into consideration.
Into
really.
consideration, rather,
Yeah.
while you were making it. Yeah.
Right.
Making the music.
Sure.
Do you ever plan to do anything, any more extended pieces like The Wizard?
Oh, sure. I mean, I've got a work called Children of Ran, which is a sort of prehistoric story, which was going to be the album before Electric Warrior, which is sort of a science fiction album, which at some point I'll do. It's about 40 minutes or something, but a whole theme, which at some point I'll record. I wrote it 6 months ago, but I don't know when we'll record it now, but I'd like to do it here, actually. But, so that's there. I mean, it's very... And there's a 20-minute song on that, longer song.
This album was recorded in all three major places, in London, New York, and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Did you particularly pick a certain city for a certain
song?
song?
No, we had no
Was it
time.
Just,
we had no
where you
time,
were?
so we were in LA for a couple of days more, and I said, let's try and record, just like that. And there's a couple of Howard and Mark from the Mothers. You know, I wanted them on it because they were on Hot Love. And we were there, and we just went in the studio, and we're just going to see what happened, and it just worked out really nice. We did get it on there. And it was a time problem, because we had to have product for England, and there was going to be no time. The day we came back from the American tour, which was a month, we started an 8-week English tour the same day. So there was no time. That's what happens eventually, it's like, we plan to come back here in June, after April, and do a tour immediately, and follow it out and keep the thing going with it. We just couldn't do it, you see.
Yeah. Is there any reason Hot Love was left off of this album?
I didn't think it was relevant, actually, to the album. Get It On I thought was relevant. Hot Love was pre that album. It's like you said, the first album on Warner's was done a year before Ride a White Swan. So that's why I didn't expect that album only to be an introduction album to people. I didn't expect that to be a big album at all. I had no illusion of that being a big album, because it wasn't relevant to even become played here. So for me, in fact, the first tour of America will be the one we do in November. And the first album is Electric Warrior.
Yeah.
So this is, for me, a whole new phase,
What makes you decide that, even on Electric Warrior there are some acoustic cuts, what makes you decide, well, I'll expand this into an electric rocker, and I'll leave
some
this into an
just need to
acoustic?
boogie, and just some don't. I'm like, Girl, I just didn't want to do it. And you get some Life's a Gas on the album. It's sort of in the middle, It's got quite a heavy backing, but it's basically an acoustic song. Whereas Girl, I didn't want anything on it at all, apart from that. I'm trying to think what other one. There's another one like that on it. But some songs just sound like, they ought to do it. They're just like, I need the energy. Well, Cosmic Dancer is a track that a lot of people over here seem to like. It's about reincarnation, that one, actually. And really, that was almost an acoustic. I was going to do it straight, but we did a run through with the drums and things, and it just worked so well like that. And I thought, had I done Girl like that, it might have been a repetition, because it needed the same sort of treatment, so I kept it simple. Though, I work totally on intuition, and I just know. I've got 2 other ones now which could only be done acoustically. I've got about 6 which could only be done as like rip-off, hard rock sort of thing.
What kind of rate do you write songs, or is it just
Depends.
whatever?
I mean, like, this Visit Now is the first time I never play guitar each day. I haven't played for 3 days. And I feel like I'm going to explode. I really do. I mean, it's like an amazing sort of feeling. It's like the energy. I write when I need to write. And sometimes I won't write for 3 months. Sometimes, I wrote 6 songs last week, But that's when I've got nothing else to do. I do it for pleasure, man, and I need to do it. I am in the 20th century. I have to accept that I can't walk about and get people feed me, because I'll get arrested. So what I do is make records and because of the way the world is constructed now. What's important is that I make the records.
It seems so rare that the Bangladesh concert at Madison Square Garden with George Harrison and everyone was kind of a milestone in a way, and it seems that
That's been brewing for about 2 years though, because a lot of people wanted to do it.
Which is good, because a lot of these sentiments you express, I kind of get disturbed because they're lacking in a lot of people who have the power to do that sort of thing. And I don't know, how many musicians you're constantly talking with and dealing with, but do you find a lot of other people that are really aware of what kind of power selling a lot of records and being successful in that and reaching a lot of people carries? And how it can be very well used. For example, that Madison Square Garden concert was a very good use of the power that they had.
Mike, there are people, but you see, what you come up with an idea, right?
Yeah.
And say, I have an idea, I want to give away a free T-shirt in each album, right? And you take that to a record company, and it turns out not to be feasible financially, and the idea gets squashed. Now, there are ways, as with concerts, that things can be worked out, but you have to remember that people aren't all aware of the situation. They're not all aware of exactly what a human being is, and that there's a lot of jive, and that things really aren't quite as important as nothing is that important, and everything is totally important, And so most of them are just trying to get through each year and get a house and feed their kids and stuff, and get a big bank account. They don't realise that possibly in 2 years' time there won't be a bank to put the money in anyway, and that we all might not be blown up particularly, but there could be anything, man. Earthquakes and disasters. I mean, aliens from another planet. I mean, he might come back, man. And sort out the whole gig. So it's very hard to convince people of that, but it can be done. I mean, George did it in our own way. We've done it in England, but it takes a lot of stamina and a lot of time, and everyone tries to wear you down because they're all going to lose out, apart from the kids. You see.
Oh, you mean all the business?
The
dealings
jivers. There's a million jivers, but what you got to do is find to work with people that respect you and can get on that idea, even if they don't think it's a good one, for their pocket perhaps. But I mean, there are good people, and you have to work with those people. Because there are a lot of people that do sort of concerts. You asked about rip-off. There are people that do benefit concerts, right, and charity concerts, when the money never gets to the charity or the benefit. We've done some of those and made, got together $50,000 or something, and it hasn't reached the people.
Yeah.
So I won't do a free concert for everyone. I want to know what it's about, and if it's for good things, we'll do it and not think about it. But you've got to know, because why work your ass off for someone who's going to rip it all off and go to the Bahamas?
Right.
Because that happens a lot.
I'm sure it does,
a lot.
Yeah.
So everyone's very wary.
What kind of plans do you have, musical plans after Electric Warrior? If that's successful, if that serves the purpose that you think it will serve.
Well, either way, we have, because of the status in England and the rest of the world for us now, we have to do an album next, another album and some singles or something. I've got the songs. I don't really know what I'm going to do with them. But we're just going and cut them and make it feel good. I'm just concerned with it feeling good. And,
what other parts of the world is your music accepted in?
Every other country apart from America. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. Hot Love was #1 in 7 countries.
Really?
Yeah.
I always wonder why language isn't a problem.
We work on feelings, really. But all those countries that one has to put down a lot of work beforehand, like Germany. Someone said, a German cat actually came to you and said, "Mark, you are the biggest thing since Hitler." Right, you work on that one. And we're like, super big. I mean, we went there a couple of times and bombed, totally. I mean, nothing. And then suddenly it exploded. Now, I don't know why.
Are you ever concerned about the fact that you might be playing so much that you'll begin neglecting other projects and other
I'm aware of that, but hopefully we can avoid that. I'm at a very high energy rate at the moment. So I don't feel any wear on either my spirit or my body, at the moment. Comes a time when you get worn out,
Yeah.
And this is my week. This was a holiday, the only week we've had off for a year almost.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
No, not really. I just hope that people listen to the album and listen to it in the spirit that it was made, and expect no more from it than that, and no illusions about anything.
I don't think you can listen to that album and not get caught into the spirit in which it was
I
made.
hope so, because, you know, we mean well, and I'd like to, you know, it's very little time to, you know, just, there's going to be no revolution. All there is, it's happened, man. It's for the children to incorporate. I mean, kids love our music, man. 3-year-old kids really get off on T.rex, which is, that for me is enough. I mean, if nothing else happened, that is fine.
Yeah, really. It's really relating to the human spirit.
Right.
Okay, Marc Bolan, thank you very much.